Senior Archivist Khazar rushed through the gleaming corridors of the Galactic Council's central archives. His 4 arms carried stacks of data crystals, and his usually neat gray robes were wrinkled from hours of desperate searching. He had to reach the Vraxi ambassador before it was too late. Ambassador Talak. Zar called out, his voice echoing in the marble-like hall. You must wait. The tall, purple-skinned Vraxi turned around slowly, his ornate golden robes swishing against the floor. Archivist. I have already received the standard species report on Earth. The Emperor's decision is final. Khazar finally caught up, trying to catch his breath. But you haven't seen the restricted files. The warnings about species 472b. The humans. Please, you must look at these. Talak's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, showing his annoyance. They are a pre-FTL civilization that hasn't even colonized their own moon permanently. What could possibly warrant such concern? With trembling hands, Khazar inserted one of the crystals into a nearby terminal. The holographic display flickered to life, showing various incident reports from different alien civilizations who had tried to study Earth secretly. Look here, Khazar pointed with his upper right hand. The Zenari attempted to establish a hidden observation post on their moon. The humans detected it within days, not through technology, but because millions of them were watching the moon through primitive optical devices called telescopes. As a hottie, Talak waved his hand dismissively. Curious creatures, nothing more. There's more, Khazar insisted, switching to another file. The Murruks tried to abduct some humans for study. The humans not only escaped their most secure facility, but somehow convinced 3 Murruks guards to quit their jobs and start a food business with them. They're now selling something called tacos in the Outer Rim. The ambassador's scales shifted color slightly, showing the first signs of uncertainty. Creative, perhaps, but hardly a threat to the Vraxi Empire. Khazar pulled up more files frantically. The Delphini tried to hack their primitive computer networks. Within hours, human teenagers, they're young, had not only blocked the attack, but traced it back and filled the Delphini systems with something called memes and cat videos. The Delphini are still trying to remove them. Enough. Talak's voice boomed through the hall. The Emperor has spoken. Earth will make an excellent addition to our servant worlds. Their very primitiveness makes them perfect for simple labor. But that's just it, Khazar pleaded. They're not actually primitive. They're different. Look at this assessment. They created thousands of languages just because they felt like it. They make up stories about things that don't exist, then build machines to try to make those imaginary things real. They deliberately eat plants that cause them pain because they enjoy it. The ambassador started walking away. Khazar called after him. They invented multiple ways to fight without weapons, for fun. They race vehicles at deadly speeds, for entertainment. Some of them jump off mountains with nothing but fabric to slow their fall. As a hottie, Talak paused at the exit. Are you quite finished, Archivist? Khazar slumped, knowing he had failed. Just look at the final warning in the file. Please. The ambassador sighed but glanced at the glowing text. Species 472b humans. Threat ASC assessment. Highly adaptable. Extraordinarily resistant to environmental extremes. Capable of learning from and improving upon any technology they encounter. Unpredictable problem-solving approaches. AP Pro HH Wawith Extreme Ciauchen. Note. Species shows unusual ability to turn almost anything, including warning signs, into weapons. I will include your concerns in my report, Talak said diplomatically. But the Vraxi Empire has conquered 1,000 worlds. What could one pre-FTL species possibly do? As the ambassador walked away, Khazar clutched his data crystals and whispered, You poor fool. You're about to find out. In orbit above Earth, the massive Vraxi fleet was already preparing for their standard conquest procedure. None of them noticed that humans had already detected their ships and were posting pictures of them on something called social media, with suggestions for how to make friends with them or kick their alien butts. The invasion was about to begin. And the humans? They were already making memes about it. Fleet Commander Vex stood on the bridge of the Vraxi Empire's largest warship, staring at the blue-green planet below. Everything was going according to plan. Their massive ships had positioned themselves over every major city on Earth, casting huge shadows below. This display of power had worked on 1,000 worlds before. The primitive humans would surely surrender immediately. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving thousands of different responses." Vex blinked all four eyes in confusion. "Thousands? That's impossible. Who is their world leader?" They don't have one, sir. There are hundreds of different countries, and they're all responding differently." Vex walked over to the communication station, his claws clicking against the metal floor. "Show me." The screen filled with multiple messages from Earth. In America, their president was requesting peaceful dialogue while their military aimed weapons at the ships. In New Zealand, they were organizing a welcome party with something called a barbecue. India was sending mathematical equations asking about their space travel technology. Russia had already tried to hack their systems 3 times. "Sir," another officer reported, "Japan is asking if they can license our ship designs to make toys, and something called anime." Vex's scales turned pale green with stress. This isn't how it's supposed to work. They should be begging for mercy. "Sir, a place called Switzerland is trying to open diplomatic relations and set up banking accounts for us, and Nigeria has sent an email about a prince who wants to share his fortune." The commander grabbed his command chair as more reports flooded in. Teenagers were live-streaming their ships on something called TikTok. Scientists worldwide were already analyzing their technology. Someone in Texas was trying to sell them real estate. "Get me the invasion manual," Vex shouted. A junior officer brought up the standard conquest procedures on the main screen. Vex read aloud. "Step 1. Show overwhelming force. Step 2. Receive surrender from planetary leadership. Step 3. He stopped. "But there is no single leader. How do we follow the manual?" "Sir," the censor officer interrupted, "several human countries are offering us trade deals. 3 have offered military alliances against other human countries, and someone in Australia is trying to sell us insurance for our ships." Vex collapsed into his chair. "Insurance? What is insurance?" "According to their data networks, sir, it's protection you pay for in case something bad happens to your property." Are they threatening our ships and offering to protect us from the damage at the same time?" "Yes, sir. And their rates are quite competitive." The commander's scales were now shifting through various stress colors. "What about the human military response?" "At least that should be simple." The tactical officer looked uncomfortable. "Well, sir, some of their militaries are preparing to fight us. Others want to join us. A few are doing both at the same time. And their civilian populations. What about them?" "Many are scared, yes. But others, sir, they're making jokes about us, sharing pictures of our ships with funny captions. Some are organizing welcoming parties. Others are forming resistance groups. A few are trying to sell t-shirts with our pictures on them." Vex stared at the view screen showing Earth. "Contact the Emperor. Tell him the humans are unusual. We might need a new invasion manual." Just then, all their screens flickered. Someone had hacked into their communication system, not to attack it, but to send them thousands of pictures of something called cats. And somewhere in the Galactic Council archives, Senior Archivist Khazar was adding a new note to the human file. "Warning. Species does not respond to standard intimidation tactics. Also, they will try to sell you things during an invasion." The Vraxi Empire was about to learn why the Council's warning about humans had been so urgent. And Earth was just getting started. Emperor Zaxtil of the Vraxi Empire was angry. His invasion of Earth wasn't going according to plan. Sitting on his crystal throne, He watched the latest reports from Earth with growing frustration. Enough, he shouted at his advisors. If they won't surrender properly, we'll use our standard chaos strategy. Release all their military secrets, every country's classified documents. That will surely turn them against each other. The royal technicians rushed to obey. Within hours, they had hacked Earth's military networks and dumped everything online. The Vraxi watched eagerly, expecting riots and civil wars to break out. Instead, something very different happened. Emperor, a nervous officer reported, the humans are thanking us. What? The Emperor's scales turned bright red with confusion. They're calling it the biggest open-source release in history. Their scientists and engineers are celebrating. On Earth, something unprecedented was happening. Instead of fighting each other, humans worldwide were working together to understand the release technology. University students were translating military documents into simple language. Engineers were sharing notes on social media. Retired scientists were coming out of retirement to help. Sir, another officer interrupted. They've already figured out how to improve their radar systems using our data. They're sharing the improvements online, for free. The Emperor smashed his fist on his throne's armrest. That's not how it's supposed to work. Where's the chaos? The fighting. Well, the officer continued, there was a small fight about which programming language to use for implementing the improvements. And something called Stack Overflow is having heated discussions about coding standards. In just 1 week, humans had downloaded centuries of classified weapons research. But they didn't stop there. They started improving things, adding features the original designers never considered, making user interfaces more friendly, writing documentation. Emperor, a military advisor, rushed in. They're not just copying the technologies. They're making them better. A group of gamers figured out how to improve tank targeting systems, something about it being similar to aiming in FPS games. The Emperor's scales were now cycling through colors nobody had seen before. What about their governments? Surely they're trying to keep this information secret. Actually, sir, most governments have set up special websites to help organize the information. They're calling it a Global Collaborative Defense Initiative. On Earth, a teenager in India had just figured out how to make missile guidance systems more energy efficient. A grandmother in Florida had spotted a flaw in submarine detection algorithms. A group of coffee-fueled college students had improved radio encryption methods while pulling an all-nighter. This is impossible, the Emperor roared. Check the Council's warning file again. There must be something we missed. A junior archivist pulled up the file, reading aloud. Warning. Humans show unusual ability to collaborate globally when sufficiently motivated. Also, they turn everything into an open-source project. The archivist looked confused. What's open source? Sir, an intelligence officer added, they've started something called a GitHub repository for tracking all the improvements. They're also making memes about our invasion plans. The most popular one says, "Thanks for the tech support." The Emperor slumped in his throne. In trying to create chaos, they had accidentally given humans exactly what they needed: a reason to work together, and the tools to do it. In the Galactic Council archives, Senior Archivist Khazar was updating the human file again. Note: Species shows remarkable ability to turn military secrets into public improvement projects. Also, they have something called tech support jokes. We don't understand them, but they find them hilarious. The Vraxi Empire had just learned another important lesson about humans. They don't just use technology. They make it their own, improve it, and share it with others. And they do it all while making jokes about it. The invasion was about to get much more complicated. The Vraxi Empire's top scientists gathered in their most advanced research lab. After 3 failed strategies, they were ready to deploy their secret weapon, the galaxy's most sophisticated AI battle system. Finally, said Chief Scientist Ixtal, watching as they uploaded the AI to Earth's networks, something humans can't possibly defeat. This AI has conquered 12 worlds. 2 hours later, the AI was posting cat videos. What? What happened? Ixtal asked, staring at the screens in horror. A junior scientist checked the logs. Sir, it seems the AI encountered something called social media, and well, it got distracted. It's currently running a Twitter poll about which cat breed is cutest. But the Vraxi had more weapons. They sent soldiers wearing their most advanced adaptive armor, suits that could resist any known weapon. They didn't expect the humans to use something called pepper spray. Sir, a medical officer reported to the Emperor, our soldiers are crying. The humans attacked them with some kind of plant extract that burns. They're calling it spicy air. Spicy? The Emperor asked. What is spicy? The science team looked it up and couldn't believe what they found. Humans deliberately eat plants that cause pain. For pleasure. They put burning chemicals in their food because they like it. In the war room, more reports kept coming in. Sir, our soldiers raided a place called Thai Restaurant thinking it was a weapons facility. The food was so spicy they had to retreat. The Emperor's scales turned pale. What kind of species makes weapons out of their food? That's not all. Another officer added. Our biological weapons aren't working. Their immune systems are too strong. The science team explained the shocking truth. Humans lived with animals called pets and livestock for centuries. They survived countless diseases. Their immune systems were incredibly tough. They let furry creatures live in their homes, a biologist explained, sounding amazed. They even sleep with them nearby, and they've been doing this for thousands of years. The Emperor watched the screens as another attack failed. The humans weren't just resisting. They were adapting to everything the Vraxi threw at them. Our sound weapons? He asked hopefully. Sir, the humans are using them for something called dance parties. The mind control rays. They're using them to make better video games. The fear gas. A human teenager figured out how to turn it into bubble gum. In the Galactic Council archives, Senior Archivist Khazar added another note to the human file. Warning: species has unexplained resistance to most weapons due to unusual habits. Eating pain-causing plants, living with animals, and turning everything into entertainment. Back on Earth, humans were doing what they did best: adapting. Scientists studied captured Vraxi technology. Engineers made improvements. And ordinary people found creative ways to use alien weapons against their makers. A grandmother in Texas discovered that Vraxi armor couldn't handle her hot sauce collection. A college chemistry student found out that alien sensors could be confused by common cleaning products. A group of farmers realized that their tractors could be modified to disable alien tanks. The Vraxi Empire was learning the hard way why the Council's warning had been so serious. Humans didn't just fight back. They learned, adapted, and even had fun while doing it. Sir, a final report came in. The humans have started rating our weapons on something called Yelp. They're giving us 1 star and complaining about poor user interface design. The Emperor just stared at the screen, his scales now a color that meant complete confusion in Vraxi culture. The invasion was becoming a disaster. And the humans? They were just getting more creative. The Vraxi military commanders gathered for an emergency meeting. They had expected to face Earth's armies. Instead, they were dealing with something much worse: ordinary humans. Report, General Zex demanded, his scales dark with worry. A tired officer stood up. Sir, our troops raided what we thought was a military base. It was something called a carrot dojo. The humans there, they knew how to fight without weapons. We lost 12 soldiers to an elderly human they called Sensei. Another officer quickly added, and that's not the worst part. Humans have hundreds of different fighting styles. They created them for fun. The general's scales flickered with disbelief. For fun? Who invents ways to fight for entertainment? Humans do, sir. They call it martial arts. They even have competitions. But the problems weren't just with human fighters. Ordinary citizens were causing chaos in their own ways. "Sir," a field commander reported, "we've lost contact with Unit 7. They were tricked into eating something called grandmother's cookies. The entire unit is sleeping." In another sector, the Vraxi discovered that human teenagers were especially troublesome. A group of high school students had hacked their communication systems and turned them into what they called a TikTok channel. "The teenagers are rating our invasion techniques," an intelligence officer explained. "They're giving us low scores for lack of style and boring spacecraft design." The general slammed his fist on the table. "What about our advanced surveillance system?" A tech officer nervously replied, "The humans found it. And, well, they're using it to share cooking recipes and cat videos, something they call alien Instagram." Across Earth, humans were fighting back in ways the Vraxi had never imagined. Engineers turned everyday items into weapons. Chemists mixed common household products into alien-stopping sprays. Grandmothers organized neighborhood watch groups that somehow always knew where Vraxi troops would appear. "Sir," another report came in. "A group called Gym Bros lifted one of our tanks and threw it away. They're now posting workout videos using our equipment as weights." The general's scales were changing colors rapidly. "What about the human military? Surely they're easier to deal with than civilians." "Actually, sir," an analyst spoke up, "the human militaries are learning from their civilians. They're adapting civilian techniques into their strategies." In the Galactic Council archives, Senior Archivist Khazar was updating the human file again. "Warning. Species becomes more dangerous when not using weapons. Also, their elderly females are especially tricky with something called baked goods." Back in the command center, things were getting worse. "Sir, the humans have started something called a YouTube tutorial series about how to defeat our troops. The most popular video is Top 10 Ways to Confuse Alien Invaders. Number 7 will shock you." A scout rushed in with more news. "General, we've discovered why humans are so good at fighting. They practice combat moves in something called dance games. They train their young through activities called sports. They prepare for space warfare through things called video games." The general stared at the reports in horror. Everything humans did, even their entertainment, somehow made them better at fighting. And they seemed to be enjoying the invasion, as if it were just another game or sport. "We were wrong," the general finally admitted. "We thought unorganized humans would be easier to defeat than their armies. But every human is a potential fighter, every home a potential fortress, and every household item a potential weapon." In homes across Earth, humans continued their unique resistance. Grandmothers baked more cookies, teenagers made more memes, engineers invented new gadgets, and martial artists taught others how to fight back. The Vraxi Empire was learning that on Earth, everyone is part of the resistance, whether they're fighting with fists, foams, or freshly baked cookies. The Vraxi Empire was getting desperate. Nothing was working against the humans. In the Imperial War Room, Emperor Zaxtil listened to his advisor's new plan. "We must break their spirit," said High Commander Vox. "Let's destroy their cultural sites. That always works on other species." The Emperor nodded. "Do it." They started with the pyramids in Egypt, but instead of breaking human spirits, it made them angry. Very angry. "Sir," a nervous officer reported, "humans worldwide are uniting against us. They're saying, if you mess with one human landmark, you mess with all of them." The Emperor wasn't worried yet. "Then we'll destroy more. Target their entertainment places." They destroyed a famous mouse-themed amusement park. The response was immediate. "Sir," an officer shouted, "all our computer systems are being flooded with something called angry Disney fans. They're everywhere." But the Vraxi weren't done. They decided to hit humans where it really hurt: their beverages. They targeted coffee plantations around the world. This was their biggest mistake. Emperor, a terrified general burst into the war room. The humans, they'd gone berserk. Without their coffee, they're unstoppable. Reports flooded in from around the world. Office workers who couldn't get their morning coffee were charging alien ships with stapler guns. Professionals, already cranky without caffeine, had hacked and shut down entire Vraxi fleets. Coffee-deprived students were turning their frustration into surprisingly effective battle strategies. "Sir," another officer reported, "they're calling it the No Coffee, No Mercy campaign." In the Galactic Council archives, senior archivist Kazar frantically added a new warning. "Extreme danger. Do not, under any circumstances, interfere with human caffeine consumption. Results catastrophic." The Emperor watched in horror as more reports came in. "They've destroyed our tea plantations too," he shouted. "That might have been an even bigger mistake, sir," an intelligence officer said. "The British are, well, they're not happy. They're coming after us with something called strongly worded letters and surprisingly effective combat techniques." The Vraxi tried targeting other cultural sites. They destroyed some sports stadiums. "Sir, now sports fans are using their tailgating skills to set up resistance camps. They're very good at organizing large groups and grilling meat. They attacked movie theaters. The film students are making devastating propaganda videos against us. They're going viral. They even targeted internet servers. Sir, they're using old Nokia phones to create an alternative communication network. Those things just won't break." In the war room, the Emperor's scales had turned the pale color of defeat. "What about their art museums?" We wouldn't recommend that, sir. Art students are already turning our destroyed equipment into installations and performance pieces. We don't understand it, but it's somehow damaging troop morale." The Galactic Council was now taking bets on how long the Vraxi would last. Most species were shocked that the mighty empire was being defeated not by Earth's militaries, but by angry coffee drinkers, sports fans, and art students. "Perhaps," suggested a junior officer, "we should have read the Council's warning more carefully, especially the part about not making humans angry." The Emperor stared at the latest reports. Humans weren't just fighting back. They were turning their anger into creativity, their frustration into innovation, and their cultural pride into powerful weapons. "Sir," came one final report, "the humans have started a new social media trend. They're posting before and after coffee invasion response videos. They're actually quite funny." The Vraxi Empire was learning the hardest lesson about humans. They become most dangerous when you threaten the things they love. And they really, really love their coffee. In homes and offices across Earth, humans were proving that an uncaffeinated planet was a force more terrifying than any alien empire had ever faced. The Vraxi Empire was getting desperate. Nothing was working against the humans. In the Imperial War Room, Emperor Zaxtil listened to his advisor's new plan. "We must break their spirit," said High Commander Vox. "Let's destroy their cultural sites. That always works on other species." The Emperor nodded. "Do it." They started with the pyramids in Egypt, but instead of breaking human spirits, it made them angry. Very angry. "Sir," a nervous officer reported, "humans worldwide are uniting against us. They're saying, if you mess with one human landmark, you mess with all of them." The Emperor wasn't worried yet. "Then we'll destroy more. Target their entertainment places." They destroyed a famous mouse-themed amusement park. The response was immediate. "Sir," an officer shouted, "all our computer systems are being flooded with something called angry Disney fans. They're everywhere." But the Vraxi weren't done. They decided to hit humans where it really hurt, their beverages. They targeted coffee plantations around the world. This was their biggest mistake. Emperor, a terrified general, burst into the war room. The humans, they'd gone berserk. Without their coffee, they're unstoppable. Reports flooded in from around the world. Office workers who couldn't get their morning coffee were charging alien ships with stapler guns. Professionals, already cranky without caffeine, had hacked and shut down entire Vraxi fleets. Coffee-deprived students were turning their frustration into surprisingly effective battle strategies. "Sir," another officer reported, "they're calling it the No Coffee, No Mercy campaign." In the Galactic Council archives, senior archivist Khazar frantically added a new warning. "Extreme danger. Do not, under any circumstances, interfere with human caffeine consumption. Results catastrophic." The Emperor watched in horror as more reports came in. "They've destroyed our tea plantations too," he shouted. "That might have been an even bigger mistake, sir," an intelligence officer said. "The British are, well, they're not happy. They're coming after us with something called strongly worded letters and surprisingly effective combat techniques." The Vraxi tried targeting other cultural sites. They destroyed some sports stadiums. "Sir, now sports fans are using their tailgating skills to set up resistance camps. They're very good at organizing large groups and grilling meat. They attacked movie theaters. The film students are making devastating propaganda videos against us. They're going viral. They even targeted internet servers. Sir, they're using old Nokia phones to create an alternative communication network. Those things just won't break." In the war room, the Emperor's scales had turned the pale color of defeat. "What about their art museums?" We wouldn't recommend that, sir. Art students are already turning our destroyed equipment into installations and performance pieces. We don't understand it, but it's somehow damaging troop morale." The Galactic Council was now taking bets on how long the Vraxi would last. Most species were shocked that the mighty empire was being defeated not by Earth's militaries, but by angry coffee drinkers, sports fans, and art students. "Perhaps," suggested a junior officer, "we should have read the Council's warning more carefully, especially the part about not making humans angry." The Emperor stared at the latest reports. Humans weren't just fighting back. They were turning their anger into creativity, their frustration into innovation, and their cultural pride into powerful weapons. "Sir," came one final report, "the humans have started a new social media trend. They're posting before and after coffee invasion response videos. They're actually quite funny." The Vraxi Empire was learning the hardest lesson about humans. They become most dangerous when you threaten the things they love. And they really, really love their coffee. In homes and offices across Earth, humans were proving that an uncaffeinated planet was a force more terrifying than any alien empire had ever faced. Emperor Zaxtil of the Vraxi Empire sat on his throne, preparing to do something no Vraxi emperor had done in 10,000 years. Surrender. But the humans had surprised him one last time. They didn't want his surrender. They wanted to talk about patent violations. "What do you mean, patents?" the emperor asked the human delegation. A human lawyer adjusted her glasses. "Well, Your Majesty, we found 3,427 cases where your technology infringes on Earth patents. For example, that hover chair you're sitting on. Someone in Minnesota patented a similar design in 2019. The emperor's scales turned the color of confusion. "But we're here to surrender." "Oh, that won't be necessary," another lawyer said cheerfully. "We just want to discuss licensing fees and technology sharing agreements." The Galactic Council representatives watched in amazement. No species had ever ended an invasion with a business meeting. "Let me get this straight," the Emperor said. "Instead of accepting our surrender, you want to hire us." "Exactly." A human businessman stepped forward. "Look, your empire clearly has great technology, but your implementation needs work. We think this could be a wonderful partnership opportunity." The Emperor looked at his advisors, who were just as confused. "Partnership? Of course. You have centuries of space travel experience. We have fresh ideas and better user interfaces. Together, we could do amazing things." And so, the great invasion ended not with a bang, but with a contract signing ceremony. The Vraxi Empire became Earth's first intergalactic business partner. Soon, Things started changing across the galaxy. Human-improved Vraxi ships became the most popular in the galaxy. Earth opened a space tech support department that other species kept calling for help. The Galactic Council had to create new laws about adding cup holders to military vehicles. In the Council archives, Senior Archivist Khazar made his final update to the human file. Note: species has surpassed all expectations. Recommend alliance rather than confrontation. Also, they're still making memes about the invasion. The changes didn't stop there. Humans started offering their problem-solving skills to other species. Japanese engineers helped redesign alien spaceships for better efficiency. Indian tech support centers started handling calls from across the galaxy. Italian designers were hired to make alien uniforms less boring. Brazilian football coaches were teaching alien species about teamwork. British experts were consulted on how to make proper tea in zero gravity. The Emperor, now a business partner rather than an enemy, watched in amazement as humans transformed galactic society. They didn't just defeat his invasion. They turned it into an opportunity for everyone. "I still don't understand," he told his advisors. "How did they turn an invasion into a business opportunity?" "Sir," an advisor replied, "the humans have a saying. If life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Though we're still not sure what lemons are." Across Earth, life returned to normal, just with more aliens around. Alien food trucks became popular in every major city. Vraxi soldiers started taking martial arts classes from human teachers. Intergalactic cultural exchange programs became the new trend. Humans and aliens collaborated on solving galaxy-wide problems. In the end, the Vraxi Empire learned the most important lesson about humans. They don't just overcome challenges, they turn them into opportunities. And they'll probably add cup holders while they're at it. The Galactic Council's final verdict was unanimous. When dealing with humans, don't try to conquer them. Just offer them a good business deal and stay away from their coffee. And somewhere on Earth, a grandmother was teaching a group of alien soldiers how to bake cookies, while explaining why proper kitchen design is important even in a battleship. The invasion was over. The partnership had begun. And the humans? They were already planning improvements for the entire galaxy.